All right, we did it, guys. Made it through an entire year. We were in the last week of 2020. And so I decided who better to have as my last guest than Jason Neman, who is also my first guest. So Jason is going to be on today, and we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. We're talking about a near miss shoot that he was supposed to have with Mindy Kaling from The Office. We talk about guitar, a really cool guitar and bass amp. So we touch on that a little bit. We talk about his company, Good Brand Company, and their coffee and a little beer company that they've merged with as far as the coffee flavor and all that kind of goes. So we talk about a couple of those things and get the script flipped, I guess you could say, on me a little bit by having him ask me a few questions about this year and the podcast and all that. So it's a cool episode. I think you guys will enjoy it, as hopefully you have enjoyed all of them this past year. And yeah, check it out. It's been a year and we have plenty more to go. So hope you guys enjoy it. I have absolutely not one prepared question for you.
Well, good. Let's treat it as a anniversary.
Well, that's pretty much what I want you to do. The first guest, I want you to be the last guest, and I don't even have one question other than how's life and how have you been doing since January, whatever the hell when we started this thing. Although we've back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
But thank you, man. This thing's turned out to be really cool. This was all your idea. And it's turned out to be very cool.
So happy for you. And I've been watching them. I mean, they're great.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
There's, some people obviously are better than others, but
yeah,
as always.
Yeah. I mean, there's some where I'm looking at the clock going, it's only been 5 minutes. I got to stretch this thing out.
And I know.
They always end up being it, but there are times where it's like, okay. It's rough when you get somebody who answers a question with, yeah, or how'd you get started? Well, I wanted to start drawing when I was 10 and went to school and ended up at an agency. It's been great. And then you're like, man, all right.
Yeah, I hear that.
But but thank you, dude. I mean, it's been really cool. Thank God it's given me something to do when I'm not shooting, which is a lot this year, so.
Have you gotten good feedback on the podcast? I mean, have people reached out to you and said, hey man, I really appreciate you doing this, or
Yeah, the people who have been on it have been appreciative. I've had a couple of people reach out and say they really enjoy it. Hamela, remember John? He sent me a screenshot of Spotify end of the year thing, and it was his #1 podcast.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's been good. Yeah,
cool.
I can't complain. I've met a lot of cool people from, I just talked to I talked to Art Streiber, who's a great photographer. I never would have met that dude in my life ever. And Kevin Scanlon's another photographer I never would have met, and just tons of people I never would have met.
That's great.
Never would have even gotten in front of. So yeah, this is cool. It's been really
very cool.
Yeah. So what have you been up to?
Man, business. It's just busy, and the agency business in particular has been very good for us. We've been super lucky that, although we were affected to a certain level by COVID, our main clientele stayed strong. In March and April, we had a little drop off, but then we picked up and went, much better. And we actually picked up some new clients in May and June, and we're supposed to finish the year at a record level. So we've never had this much revenue, which
that's amazing.
Is great. Yeah, we're moving into offering healthcare for our employees, which is definitely a big move.
Yeah,
for a small agency. So yeah, that's been really cool. And, we've brought on some good people that I feel like are going to be very additive to the company. And, we're doing some really cool projects. We're really getting into some software products that we're providing our clients that I feel like are really good. One of them in particular is a digital marketing platform, which is really cool. It basically takes all of your different digital marketing efforts and puts it all into one basic dashboard for you.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
cool.
and then it also has tools built in. So, like for those people that use Hootsuite for all their social media, for instance,
Yeah.
it's got a component of Hootsuite that's already built into the platform, but then it also gives you all the data analytics on your social media.
Oh, damn.
Then there's a social media advertising component to it. There's reputation management built into it. There's customer reviews and customer voice where you can send out requests for reviews and things like that. It brings in all of your Google Analytics along with your Google business data, along with your website analytics, along with your social media
Good
traffic,
Lord.
all into this one basic dashboard.
Is it listening to my phone
And
too?
right. So what's cool about it though is you don't have to have all these different components. It's all built into this one. And then the final sort of piece of this is we just added in text messaging services, which is really cool.
Is that like that thing that
You,
like Gary Vaynerchuk's doing where he gives you his number? He owns Vayner Media in New York and
okay.
a bunch of other crap. He's a huge like media guy. And then I think I saw somebody else just did the other day. He said, text me, like Chase Jarvis or somebody, a photographer.
Yeah.
Big. And it's they give you their number and then occasionally you get text from them and you can text them back as well. And I'm assuming I don't know where it goes because I doubt they're like have it going to their real phone and getting text nonstop all day long.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, this is more driven towards people sign up for text messaging and you can basically send them blast messages like email blast type stuff.
Okay.
And there is a component of us purchasing text messaging numbers where people have opted into lists and things like that. So we've got that, which is really cool. And then the biggest piece of it, which is really cool, is a whole marketing automation piece, which basically tracks people from the time they hit your website to everything that goes into your CRM, your customer relations management software. So it's pretty robust. But the cool thing is, as an agency, one of the things that we're always struggling with is, which part of your marketing has worked, right?
Yeah.
And so with all of these digital tools, we have a much better feel for what we have done that's worked. We're able to track it, and then we're able to prove our worth to our clients, which I think is, something we've wanted for a very long time. And the fact that we help them set it up, we build it for them, is almost a built-in sort of like, well, if you're not succeeding and we're driving all this traffic and we know we are, then it's kind of not on us. We can bring the horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? So
yeah.
So anyway, that's been really cool. It's been a lot of technology this year. We've done some really cool websites. We've done some really cool branding campaigns. We're getting ready to rebrand 10 Park Lanes and High Country Lanes, one in Boone and one here in Charlotte, which doesn't sound very sexy, but it's a really cool redo. Slight touch of retro, but for the most part, moving them into, it's a 60-year-old bowling alley. So
Yeah.
moving them into something that's really cool. And we're working with the architect on what the building looks like.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you if they're like doing a new redoing the building and all that as well.
Yeah, they're going to basically reface it. They're doing a whole bunch of renovations on the inside. They have plans on expanding it. Now, with what's going on right now, it's making it a little difficult to move those processes forward because there isn't a whole lot of cash flow coming in because people aren't, going as often as they probably would have. But they still have plans as of right now to move forward. And we've already finished the new brand look and feel, and we'll be launching that in the first of the year, which is cool.
Well, that's very cool.
Yeah, so we've been doing some fun stuff, man. It's been fun.
How many employees you guys have now?
8. So
really?
So not, we're not huge, but
yeah. But when I remember when you left and you started there, it was just you and Damon. That was it. It's 2 of you.
Yeah, 2 of us. 7 years later. Place. So we basically added 1 person a year, and we've gone from $210,000 our first year in gross billings to close to $1 million.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah, so it's on its way, man. The goal basically is to double. So double in size, double in revenue.
that's
And
cool.
I would
Obviously
say
means
that
you're
in the
doing
next
something right. Because if you weren't, you'd been closed down by now.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are other agencies in Charlotte that are having that problem
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
I know
Well,
plenty.
all over the country, not just Charlotte. So,
Yeah, the fact you guys are doing better is amazing because I know multiple people who have been let go
yeah.
this year. Yeah,
Well, fingers crossed. We've been super lucky, and I'd like to think it's a lot of what we're doing, but I also know that the industries that we chose to be in,
yeah,
there's a little bit of luck in that they haven't been as affected as like an agency that really delves heavily into restaurant and hospitality. That's a tough place to be.
oh yeah.
Side note, I got laid off from a company that was a hospitality agency during 9/11.
Oh
So
really?
I sort of knew, I'm like, I'm not going back down that road again.
Yeah.
We'll dabble in hospitality, but I certainly am not going to build our agency around it. So
See, you learned. That's good.
yeah, right. That's right.
Yeah. You guys still
Um,
doing the coffee thing?
we're still doing coffee, although because we've been so busy this year, we haven't spent a lot of time, really marketing it, but we're still
Yeah.
doing it. It's going well. We're getting, the thing is that it's such a good product. Our roasting partner is so good that, well, I do have one piece of information about that I'll go back to in a second,
Yeah.
but it's such a good product that as soon as somebody buys it and they get it delivered to their house, they're like, why am I buying grocery store coffee that tastes like it's been sitting on the shelf for 6 months? And that's the whole sales pitch. Like, you don't have to sell it, because once somebody tastes like, oh, it was roasted like less than 5 days ago, it's the difference between going to the store and pulling a Budweiser can and
Yeah.
pulling something from a local microbrewery, and the difference in the taste and the craftsmanship of it. If you appreciate coffee, then you immediately go, oh, well, this is what it's supposed to be like versus what we've been doing forever.
Yeah.
Because there's like, we just got this study back at the beginning of last year that most grocery store coffee that sits on the shelf has been in the can or bag for more than 6 months.
Really?
So that'll tell you how stale that coffee is. And if you already grind it and you buy ground coffee, like that's even worse, because that's like taking a Coke bottle and like taking the top off,
Right.
putting the top back on, and then putting it on the shelf and leaving it there. Like, how good is that going to be? So that was sort of a learning for me, because until we got into the coffee business, I didn't really know that. Also didn't know all the ins and outs of roasting and degassing and crema and all the other things that go into it.
Yeah,
But
I
what
have
I was
no
going to
idea
tell
what you're
you
talking
is,
about right now.
yeah, one of the things that we did at the beginning of last year, or towards the end of last year, actually, is we changed from Good Coffee Club to Good Brand Coffee.
Right.
So I'm not sure if we had done that when you and I did the first podcast. I guess we probably did,
Yeah, I
but
think you had.
yeah, and we had just also partnered with the brewery to do the coffee beer, which was
Yeah,
really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. How was that?
That was phenomenal. If you go on there, there's
Now,
an
do you need to
app
like
called
coffee to like the beer, or can you
No.
just like beer?
Well, I mean, you have to like coffee flavor.
Right.
It's not. You have to like that essence of coffee, if you will, But the cool thing about it was, if you go on Untapped on your mobile phone and you look up Divine Barrel Brewing, and you do a search in Good Company, which is the collaborative beer that we made with them. Um, you know, the side note from Good Brand Coffee, is their highest ranked beer, or at least it
Really?
was like a month ago. It was their highest ranked beer they've ever had on that app. So clearly, the people that loved it really loved it.
Yeah.
And we sort of talked to them about what the next step is, and are we going to do another beer this year or not. But with COVID, it's just been really weird, because they actually, invited us in to sit down, and like we recipe'd the beer with them.
Oh,
Then we
wow.
went in and we actually helped them brew it, which was cool. And then I went like 2 weeks later and we put the beans in and the different things that we were putting in it. And then we were there when they took it out of the tanks and put it in the bright tank. And then we did the big launch,
Hey, if you do that
right before the
again, let me
holidays.
know because I just want to shoot it. I want to shoot the
Yeah, that'd be
process.
awesome. That'd
Yeah,
be awesome.
because I
Yeah,
think
it's
it would be
cool.
very cool to shoot how that's processed, and I would love to
Yep.
shoot it just for me to add some stuff to my website, and of course, you guys can take
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I think it would be very cool to just be in there when it happens. If you guys do it again, let me know.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's an end to us pushing that. They've been really careful with COVID because,
Oh yeah,
bringing people into the back of their brewery is tough. But I'm guessing that, once the vaccine pulls up, maybe in the fall of next year, we'll probably do another one.
yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
So long story short, coffee's doing well. We have a good amount of subscribers on the site. We've had a good amount of just like one-offs that have been purchased in the last 1 or 2 months. And then the last 2 weeks, we've seen a huge gift, the
Oh yeah, I bet.
gift givers, people that, order 5 or 6 bags and put them in a box and wrap them up. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool,
Good,
man.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like COVID's been
So,
good for you.
well, other than
you know, more or less.
other than the social distancing and the, you know,
Yeah.
parts about not seeing family as often and friends as often and things like that. But yeah, it's been good. How about you? Tell me about you. I'm going to flip
Oh
the
God.
script a little bit, man. This is your like inaugural 1 year anniversary
Yeah.
edition, right?
Yeah. It's the last one of the
So
year.
tell me a little bit about your experience with your podcast. Like, what are some of the like main things that you have felt? Number one, that you've either learned, gained, or benefited from.
Well, I've learned that I can talk more than I wanted to originally. I thought I would want to. So I've learned that. I've learned to be a little more inquisitive than I used to be, I think, because I used to be like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, and then move on. And then you think later, damn, I guess I should have asked that, but whatever. Now, doing this, I started asking questions. Even in my regular life, when I'm not talking to somebody on here, I find myself almost like I'm interviewing on a podcast kind of thing. I've learned a lot of people in this business seem to have started off, whether it's photography or at agencies or whatever, had started off going to school doing like some completely opposite side of the brain kind of thing. And then they end
Huh.
up doing this. I mean, I've had people go, oh, I was going into, I was a science major, or I was going in to be a lawyer or something like that. And then I ended up being a photographer, I ended up being an art director, a creative director or whatever, which blew my mind because I didn't
Right.
think that would ever go together unless it's one of those things where I guess maybe the whole entire time they were really more artistic and they were just doing that because their parents wanted them to be the lawyer or
Right.
the scientist or
Right.
whatever. I don't know, but and like I said, it's been good. It's been keeping me busy when I'm not shooting. If not, even if I'm not doing a podcast, I'm at least looking for guests and bugging the shit out of people to ask them to be on the podcast.
Right. Right.
So it's been a good thing. I
Yeah,
can't.
they're not as easy as me. You're like, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah,
What day? Right.
yeah. Occasionally you'll get that. You'll get one person like I was. There's a guitar player coming up. I don't want to say who now, but I'll tell you later. And I was like, "Hey, you want to be on the podcast?" He was like, "Yeah, tell my contact my manager, and I'll go ahead and tell him you're calling, and we'll set it up." And this was like on a Thursday or something, and we set it up for the Monday of the next week. This
Wow.
was crazy. I couldn't believe. But I guess if you're a musician, you're not doing anything,
Yeah.
not
Right. You're
playing out
hanging out.
someplace. Maybe you're
Right.
recording, possibly, but
Right.
yeah. So yeah,
Speaking of that,
yeah.
you can't really see that thing. I'm going to move so you can see that thing on my back cabinet back there. That is,
Amp.
it is an amp, but it is so cool. It's made by a company called Positive Grid,
Yeah.
and it's a modeling amp, so it has like ridiculous effects that are already built into it, and you can have like 4 or 5 presets. It's tabletop, but I gotta tell you, it's so unbelievably
Is it
loud.
guitar or bass?
So you can play a bass through it, you can play a guitar through it, you can play an acoustic guitar through
You
it.
play a bass
And it
through that
has
thing?
you have settings that like it changes for everything. It's ridiculous, right?
Wow.
Not only that though, you can take your iPad and it comes with software. You connect to it via Bluetooth, and then basically there's a SoundCloud library of like 1,000 different amp sounds that people have created
Oh
that you
wow.
can download to your iPad and basically on the fly change out whatever amp. So you can have a Marshall, then you can switch over and you've got an Ampeg sound, and then you switch over and you've got an Orange sound.
Really?
Um, it's
And what's it
crazy, and there's
called?
like it's called the Spark, and it's made by a company called Positive Grid. They've made modeling software for music for a long time, and they have some higher end amps that they sell as well. This one is made for like studio and practice because it's also got a direct input USB input, so that like if you're recording using GarageBand or whatever you're
Right.
using,
Yeah.
you can go directly from the amp into the back of the computer and have it run basically through just like you're hooked up direct from your amp.
Damn, that's cool.
So it's phenomenal, man. And it's funny, because as you know, I've always played bass, but I play guitar too, just not as well. And I got a new Music Man Stingray guitar that's sitting back there. I'll have to pull it out for you after
Yeah.
we're done here.
I want to see that.
And plugged it in, and I could not believe, like, you select for instance, John Mayer, and you start playing, and it's like it's his guitar playing. It's bizarre, like his exact sound. Stevie Ray Vaughan, metal like James Hetfield, The Edge from U2.
Really?
I mean, it's just crazy.
And get that Eddie
Then
Van
the
Halen
other,
sound?
yeah, oh yeah, no question.
Wow.
And then the other thing about it that's super cool is on your iPad, it'll listen, like you push this button and it'll listen to you play a progression. Like it records you for like 15 minutes
Yeah.
or 15 seconds. So you'll play like, a 4 or 5 chord progression. It'll listen, and then all of a sudden it'll drop in a bass track, a drum track, and a rhythm guitar track if you want it. And then you can play lead over it and just sit there and practice over that 4 chord progression.
Oh wow.
So it
And how much is
listens
this
to what you're
thing?
doing. I don't even remember. I think the amp itself is like around $300 or
Oh, that's not bad.
$350.
That's way better than I thought it
Super
would
cheap. Yeah.
be. Yeah.
But you can also use it just as a Bluetooth speaker, and it sounds better than my Apple HomePod. I
Okay.
mean, it's ridiculous. It's
Wow.
crazy. When we're done recording,
Yeah. I want to see
I'll
it
put it
out.
on for you and check
Yeah,
it
I want
out.
to hear
But
that thing.
it's crazy, man. So anyway, speaking of music, because you and I are both musicians and
Cool.
love
Are you
music, so
playing with the band? Because I know we had talked about something for a minute. And
yeah, I was going to. I think I decided that the music that band was going to play wasn't really for me. And right after that started, because that was right when we were getting ready to record,
yeah,
they asked me if I would play with them, and then COVID happened, and it all just kind of like fell apart. But it's kind of a blessing because I was like, not sure I love the music
yeah,
style. I think I've decided if I'm going to play in a band again, I'm only going to do original music. Like, even if it's the other band's original music and I come in,
right.
I don't really want to do cover songs anymore unless, it's not that I have anything against it. It's just, I don't
I
want
think
to.
unless you have a singer who can sound decent and a band who can play it, it's not worth it. Because if you have a singer
Right.
who's trying to sing Journey and he's got a voice built for Metallica or whatever, it's
Right.
not going to work.
Yeah.
And then if you have a
You got to be a
guitar
wedding
player,
band,
yeah, yes, yeah,
right? You got to have one guitar player singer. You got to have a female singer, and you got to have, you know, just another male singer, so that they can kind of cover the spectrum.
yeah.
Because you're playing Bruno Mars, and then you're playing Bon Jovi, and
Unless you're
then you're
just going to be a
playing.
tribute band and you guys are just dialed in on whatever
Yeah,
band it is you want to be the tribute. You're the Grateful Dead tribute band or whatever you want to
right.
be.
Which I've done 2 of those.
Yeah.
Not sure I want to do Yeah, I mean, not for long, but I was in two bands that did nothing but Rush and the Police. So it's like, you know, how long can you do that before you're like, okay? And I'm not getting any younger, right? If I'm going to
Right.
play music, I want to play music that I really like. So
That makes
yeah,
sense.
so yeah, I'm not playing, but I have been playing, and I've been playing pretty regularly, more guitar than bass,
Really?
honestly, which kind of surprises me. But it's because of the amp. It's because I got this thing, and I'm like, I can change the sounds up, and I can like, you can play the you play the YouTube, it pulls it into the interface. So you just say, oh, I want to play, Waiting on the World to Change by John Mayer, right?
Yeah.
And it starts playing it through the amp, through the iPad, and then you dial up his amp and sound and guitar, and then it sounds exactly like his guitar. It's bizarre. It's crazy. Anyway, what are we talking about? We're talking
We're
about
talking about
music
amp.
now.
So
Yeah, it's
I said I
crazy.
didn't have any questions prepared for this thing, so we can get. I was talking to Philip McCandless out of Accenture in LA, and we ended up talking about car racing and Marilyn Monroe and
Yeah,
whatever the hell else.
yeah,
So I'm all good with talking amps. Although I
yeah.
do get a little distracted sometimes, like and start talking about stuff like that. I was talking to another dude out in LA, and I think he really wanted to push the agency he was with, and we ended up talking about cars, and we it's just like, all right, so tell me
Yeah.
more about this car. What about this car? You do this, and he was like, okay, and they tried to keep pulling it back. And I was like, let's talk about cars a little bit more, and then finally we got back to the agency stuff.
Hey man, you know what? It's got to be an interesting podcast, right? So, and people want to obviously hear about. I think part of your podcast, which I think is so cool, is part of it's the person's experiences in life, and part of it is what they do currently. But I like how you sort of interweave you know, this person met so and so, or was on set with this person and things like that. I think that's cool that you
I think
did
it's just
that.
more interesting than the whole what do you do now? How do you find photographers? What's your day to day like? And then the whole podcast is like that. And then eventually, I think everybody's going to start sounding the same ish, and you
Right.
know what the answers are going to be to everything. So I think if you start
Yeah.
asking a little more of the history, who have you been on set with? What are the cool things? What happened on that? It gets a little more interesting as opposed to just like, oh, we find photographers from Instagram or their emails,
Right.
or our day is whatever the hell. We come in and
Right.
we have a meeting and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I think some of that's interesting to find out. What a day is like, but at the same time, I don't want a whole entire podcast based on what's your day at work like.
Right. Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah. I mean, one of those is okay. A
yeah.
month.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay to
Yeah.
like if we were talking and this is our first time, but all right, so tell me how you got started, what do you do, what's a day at work like, but then let's move on
Yeah.
to something else after we get it, and tell me about some cool shoots. Tell me about a cool client you had, whether it's a shoot or not, whether it's like a amazing website you guys built, something like that. I think it's
Yeah.
into at least a little more interesting. At least I think.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure. I will almost think when you were saying that, it's like I've had so many. I mean, I've worked with celebrities and things like that before, but I've also had so many close calls or situations where I was going to work with somebody that was really cool and I wanted to work with, but for some reason the client fell through or
Mhm.
the celebrity backed out. And I was thinking about it when you were talking, and one of those sort of brushes with somebody that would have been really fun to work with that I didn't get to ultimately was Mindy Kaling, Kelly from The
Oh
Office.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
She's hilarious. And we had worked with LaCroix, the water company.
Water. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was going to be sort of like it was like right when they were becoming popular, and we were going to work with them. And we got on a phone call where we talked about the concept and what we were doing. She was on the call and we were talking about going shopping for clothes. She was so down to earth. She was like, oh man, I can't wait to go shopping with you guys and we'll pick out cool stuff. And it was all planned. And then I don't remember exactly what happened. I think it might have actually been like the depression in like the 2007, 2000, the recession, 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
And somehow these budgets got cut and they ended up not working with her. And I remember going back going, man, that sucks, because she would have been a lot of fun to work with, you know?
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah,
so many
man.
of those experiences where you're genuinely interested in working with somebody that's cool. And then you end up not being able to work with them. And you're like,
Yeah, those are the worst.
that close.
Yeah. Man, I've had them where, not with celebrities, but I've had jobs where I was excited about the job and it literally
Yep.
disappeared the week before the shoot was supposed to happen. And
Yeah.
every time it's been because the agency and the agency's client got into it over whatever. So
Yep.
the two that come to mind immediately are, one, the agency fired the client and the shoot got canned, and the other was the agency hired me without confirming it with the client, although I was the one that they were all looking at. But they went ahead and told me that I was going to get the gig before telling the agency, or they just before telling the client that it was going to be me. And so the client got ticked off, like, you can't make decisions without coming through us to clear it first. So we're not using him. We're going to this other person.
Wow.
Yeah. And
That sucks.
and other things like that, same kind of deal. You'll have something where all it's
Yeah.
set up, and like I was supposed to shoot, I ended up shooting Kamala Harris, but I literally got the call the day before. We want you to shoot this person. They didn't tell me who it was. You're going to have to get
Really?
COVID tested. We got to get a background check on you, all that stuff. Once I agreed to that, later in the day, they finally told me who it was. It was going to be the next day. They canceled it the morning of.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, it was because that was that time where she got, like, one of her people got into COVID, got tested positive
Yeah.
for COVID, and she was supposed to come to North Carolina, so they canceled it. But I was literally getting ready to go get the COVID tested, the rapid COVID test, and got the email about probably half an hour before I was planning to walk out the door and go get
But
tested.
didn't you end up shooting her
We
anyway?
did. It was about a month later, 3 weeks later, something like that. At least that time, they gave me multiple days in advance. Like, I think I had 2 days in advance on that one. So
Man,
that
I
was,
bet she's a super nice person. That would be
she's
my
really
guess.
nice. Yeah. I mean, as far as, I didn't have a lot of interaction with her because I
Yeah.
literally had her in front of the camera. I was told I was going to have 60 seconds in front of the camera with her.
Oh my gosh.
And I ended up getting like 90, maybe something like that. But I was taking shots behind the scene while they were doing the video part, and which I wasn't supposed to be. I was told to just come in and watch and don't pull the trigger. But I was like, I had it on quiet mode, and I was just popping off shots. And
Yeah.
they seemed to be very happy with the outcome of everything, so that I didn't get in trouble
That's great.
later. But yeah, I mean, there's like, her shirt was popping open, and nobody was telling her. And I was like trying to get somebody to tell her, and finally somebody listened to me and told her, and she tried to fix it, but nobody fixed it properly because the shirt was way too big. So finally they take a break for a second to redo something to move the camera, the light, and she's looking at this mannequin standing beside me. I'm like, I move over in front of the mannequin. I'm like, shirt fix. And she went, and then she fixed her shirt. And she's like, thank you. And then we moved on. Then we did the shoot. But she was really nice to everybody. She stuck around, took a picture of the owners with the owner's daughter, who had just been there just to see her. So, I mean, she was very cool. I can't.
That's nice. It's good to hear.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that those people that are in those public offices are, at least some of them are nice. And,
I've been lucky. I mean, she's the only politician I've ever shot. But as far as anybody with any kind of celebrity, I've never run into anybody who's been an ass.
I've run into one.
Yeah.
I won't name that person, but I've run into one. I'll tell you two people that were incredibly nice. Was Julius Peppers.
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal guy. We did that Big Brothers Big Sisters shoot with him. And, the coolest part was to see them interact with kids. And when he was with the Panthers, we did that Big Brothers Big Sisters thing. And he was incredibly nice. And then Raymond Felton, the basketball player that played here in Charlotte as well, we did that shoot with him as well. And he was incredibly nice too. And his parents were just gems of people,
That's good to hear.
But yeah, both of them were just like incredibly nice guys, really fun to work with. Because we had them doing some ridiculous stuff, like for Big Brothers Big Sisters, where they're sitting in a white studio and like completely white backdrop, and he's got a kid hanging on his arms, just like things that are just like super cool. And he was just up for anything. He was like, yeah, whatever you want to do, I'm good with, didn't
That's killer,
really
man.
buck the system, or it was cool. He was
The only
really
ones
super
I've had,
nice.
and they weren't even celebrities. People that have been the biggest pain in the ass, I guess, or had the biggest, not even pain in the ass, just had the biggest attitude, have literally been people who are, nobody knows who they are. It's like some model who just thinks she's great or whatever, something like that. It's never been somebody who actually you would recognize.
Right.
Which
Don't
is
talk about your wife like that. She's amazing. She's awesome, man. So I mean, craziness, man. It's been a year since you did this. I can't believe that we've been able to, we sat in a place eating tacos, you and I, talking about, man,
you were
this
just
will
like,
be
you should do a
something really
podcast.
cool.
I was like, what? Why? I don't want to do a
I
podcast.
know.
What the hell would I do?
But look how it's turned out, man.
Yeah,
It's
it's turned out great.
fantastic. It's
Dude,
fantastic. If I didn't have so many client podcasts to do, I would do my own. That's the problem with me. It's like I can't do my own because, I'm probably doing 2 or 3 a week with clients where we're doing either webinars or podcasts or video recordings with them. And it's crazy. We were doing Zoom 5 years ago. I mean, we literally signed up for Zoom. I looked when we were like halfway through the year, and everybody's like, oh, Zoom this, Zoom that. I'm like, we've been using Zoom for like 5 years.
Should have invested in Zoom when you started using
but
it.
I did.
Did you? Well, congratulations.
Yeah,
Not
that
gonna
was
let me
a
in on
good.
any of that. Next time you do that, you need to let me in on this kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like I had a huge fund to like drop, but yeah, I mean,
even if you
it's
put in
up
$100, it's still a nice gain.
So I have a question for you. What's your plan for the podcast in 2021? You got anything? You have any thoughts or changes you want to put in place, or I mean, other than the camera?
Yeah, the camera would be cool.
Yeah, we'll get you hooked up, man. I'll send you the equipment list.
Yeah, send me what you got. I don't know. I have decided that I'm going to starting with this next one. I'm going to post. I think it's the one before this one. I'm going to start doing little video things, like little 15-second video clips of like a little something to post on Instagram or Facebook or whatever.
Oh, cool.
To try and be like, hey, here's something we talk about, whether.
That's cool. Like a little preview, like a teaser.
Yeah, like a little 15-second. Like I just did one today, and it was a cool story, but it was about 20 seconds long. And on Instagram, I think you got 15 seconds for one story, and then it flips to the next. So I had to go in there and chop it a little bit. So you see the guy talking, and you see, and then he does like this, and then he does like that.
Max headroom.
Yeah, but I basically just got rid of the, made a little pauses in between. So the story's still there, but
that's great.
I don't know. I've got to come up with some other stuff. I still want to keep talking to the art producers and the art directors and stuff like that, but I also want to try and expand it to maybe people that you might know a little more and get them on there. So I've had somebody like, if you're a photographer, you know who Art Stryber is. If you watch Ozark, you know who Kevin L. Johnson is. And I've had those guys on, and I've got one or two other people you may know. I've got a stylist coming on who you definitely know the magazine she's worked for.
You had your cousin that's the Village People.
My cousin, I think I'll interview him again from the Village People, because
that was an interesting interview.
That was cool. I learned a lot on that, just not about him, but basically about audio, because I couldn't do this thing, and I was doing it live, and we were at the beach, so I was trying to figure out how to mic it, and I didn't bring my little board and all that, but I had a Zoom, so I took the mics and put them into the Zoom, and it sounded much better than it did on this crappy little board I'd been using. I didn't have the slight hum, so I learned about that, and I was able to control the levels a little better because I could see them while I was actually talking to him. And I want to talk to him more about like touring in Studio 54. We didn't get into any of that. And that's where the good stuff is, I know. So
yeah,
I'm going to try.
I've got the cool thing about that M50 we were talking about, the Canon, is I've got this really cool remote wireless lapel setup where
Oh, that's cool.
you can have the one remote pack on the camera plugged in direct.
Yeah.
And then you can also have one pack that has two mics into it. So you're not having competing audio levels. Like the
Oh,
audio
yeah.
level's completely consistent. And it's worked really well just in doing interviews in person. Because and they have super long cables. So, I clip one to me and then clip one to the other person.
Right.
And then that level is completely consistent all the way through.
Oh, that's
And it
nice.
goes direct in when you're recording, which is great.
Yeah, that makes life a lot easier, especially if it's a clean audio, and then you can use
Yep,
the zooms as the backup if you need it, and just have those placed
exactly.
nearby and use that as a backup.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
great.
helps a lot. It works really well. And then you don't even have to go through a mixing board or anything. You just run it direct, and then you can always adjust the audio later, you
Right.
know. So, but yeah, that's been a good one. Good little
Yeah.
trick.
Yeah. Send me
So what
that.
are you using? What are you using when you output, and how are you getting your podcasts on the different services now?
What the hell am I using? I'm using Anchor.
Anchor.
Yeah.
Does Anchor only do audio or does it do video
It
too?
does. Anchor does just audio. So
Okay.
I edit the video in Premiere
Right.
and then post it up on YouTube that way. And then I take the audio, I make a recording of the audio in Premiere as well, and then send that over to Anchor and just upload it onto Anchor. And then Anchor distributes it to Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcast, a couple other places, I think, as well.
And so does Anchor also send the video file as well or just the audio file?
No, just the audio file. So what I do is I
Okay.
record. So when I go into Premiere and edit it all together, I make a audio final of just the audio recording. So I have it edited together how I want it for the video, and then I just go in and make an MP3 file of just the audio off that and save it, and then I go in and make the video file. So I have two separate files in there. So you'll have a folder, and in that folder will be all of this, the raw stuff, and then I'll add the intro, the outro, whatever, edit whatever in the middle, and then save that as a one audio file, one video file, and then I just go and upload separately to YouTube and to Anchor.
Yeah. That's cool.
It seems pretty
Nice.
easy, and I mean, with Zoom, two people, you can talk as long as you want.
Right.
And I have
Yeah,
friends
for
who are
sure.
doing podcasts, and I can't remember what they're using, but supposedly it's better. But if they go over 40 minutes, they got to pay. If it's over 40
Really?
minutes, it starts charging them per minute or something like that, even
Huh.
on the distribution or something. So I'm like, why? Because I don't think
Yeah,
the
that's
audio on
weird.
this is crap. I haven't heard
No, it's
anybody
pretty
complain
good.
about the audio. So
No, it's been good.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why you
I'll
would
tell you
pay.
what. Have you tried out the new Apple Silicon Mac yet at all?
Nah.
It's so fast.
How much is that damn
X
thing?
It's not a lot of money, man. It's weird. I mean, it falls in line with. I mean, it's still their base model stuff. So there's the MacBook Air that they just came out with. There's the MacBook Pro, the 13. I have that one, and then I have a Mac Mini, M1 Mac Mini, and I use the Mac Mini for pretty much all of my editing whenever I'm doing video editing. The difference, what I had before was like the highest Intel processor you could find with like 64 gigs of RAM on it.
Oh yeah.
It was ridiculous. This thing just blows it. It's got 16 gigs of RAM and it just blows it out of the water. Like
Really?
it is so smooth. The exporting, I mean, I use Final Cut to do my video.
Yeah.
Um, I'm probably exporting 4K files in half the time I was exporting on the Intel Macs. It's
Really?
crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, it saves so much post time. You can basically edit. Like I can take three 4K videos, have them all up on the same screen, and scrub through them like they're like 720p videos. It just handles video like nothing. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah, it's
Right.
great.
I do need that
So
because I'm trying to
And I
export
think
just these podcasts at like an hour, hour and a half, and it's taking 2 hours to do it.
no way.
Ridiculous. Yeah, it's
I
yeah. I'm
bet
getting ready
you
to get it. I'm getting ready to get a new computer because I can't take this one anymore. I mean, it's gotten to the point where it was great when I first got it, which literally was only like 2 years ago. But
which one is it? Which one do you have?
I don't know. Some dude's built it for me. It's built out of an Alienware thing, and this guy
Yeah.
who repairs my computers built it.
This is the MacBook Pro. It's only the 13 because they haven't come out with the new one yet. That's the bigger one, right? The 16.
Yeah, I got the
Um,
15, but it's
but I think
old.
this one was like $1,600 with the highest thing you could get in it,
Oh,
right? The highest hard
okay.
drive, the highest RAM you can get in is 16 gigs. But the RAM doesn't work the same way it does in the old machines because it's all the RAM, the hard drive, the graphics, everything is all in one chip. So there's like no swapping of anything. Like it all just runs on the same chip and it's so fast.
And
It's
that's the one you're
crazy.
editing on, or you're editing on a different one?
I edit on both. I mean, they these two have the exact same chip
Okay.
configuration. They have exactly the same insides. The only difference is one is a desktop and one is my portable laptop.
Right.
There's only one piece of software that isn't working on it yet that I use regularly, and that's Google File Stream, which just does an automatic transfer of my Google stuff in the cloud for our G Suite.
Yeah.
Um, that's the only thing that I'm not able to run at this time. Everything else runs either natively, so like Final Cut's native, um, Lightroom is native now. Uh, GarageBand, obviously, which is what I use to do my audio, that's all native. But yeah, man, it makes a huge difference. And Premiere should be native, like I think first quarter of next year.
Okay.
But even in emulation mode, which you can use it in, it's like way faster than on my old Mac, on my MacBook Pro. It's crazy. So I mean, I can't. This is the first gen of these things. I
And
can't
which
imagine
chip
what's
did
going
you
to
have to?
happen.
Is it a higher chip than you just get on the basic model?
So no, so
You
they all
upgrade to
come
it?
with they all come with an M1 chip. So it's their
Okay.
first it's their first Apple Silicon branded chip. So it's basically what they use in the iPad Pro, but they've ramped it up for desktop. But everything's on the chip. So it's a system on a chip. So it's the
Oh, wow.
SoC, right? And it just means that everything is integrated. And then of course they just came out with the new software too that takes full advantage of it. So like if you look at videos on YouTube of people that are like high techy, video editors,
Yeah.
they're saying even the Mac Pros that they've spent $50,000 on are only beating this new Mac chip by percentage points.
Really?
Yeah. So imagine a year from now with what they've already done, what those Macs are going to do, it's going to be bonkers.
That would
It's
be
crazy.
nice. Because that's the
Yeah.
one thing that irritates me is the editing the video on this machine. It's such a pain in my ass. I
Yeah.
mean, Premiere Pro does a pretty good job even on this machine. It just takes forever to export it out. But I was using another program a couple of years ago, and that thing was just annoying because everything had to work itself in. Like if you put in a transition, you had to wait for that transition to
Oh, yeah.
rasterize or whatever, and then you could see it. Where at least on Pro, you can see it immediately,
Yeah.
and that's the problem. It's got to all do its thing, and then before I can actually send it out, so it's taking forever to do all that.
Yeah.
But
I edited a 3 camera 4K cooking demo we did, and all of the video feeds were 4K coming in. The video itself lasted, I think, 56 minutes total once it was all edited
yeah,
and everything. On my old MacBook Pro, I think it took like an hour and 20 minutes to export to an MP4 file.
yeah,
I did an export on that same exact file on this, and it took 36 minutes.
Okay. Damn.
So, I mean, that's a
Yeah,
huge
if you can
encoding
for me,
difference.
if I can export it in less time than the length of the video, I'd be so happy.
Yeah,
I'd be amazingly happy.
it's bonkers, man. It's crazy. So anyway, we got way off topic there again. Look
Well,
at us,
now
man.
maybe we
Tangent
need to
kings.
tag Apple in this podcast and tell them to send you some cash because I'm just sitting there going, "Whoa, they need to send you some
Hey,
money."
man, it's your podcast. I'll
we'll,
split it with
we'll
you.
split it. Okay.
I like it. Yeah. And then, man, you need to look at the new iPhone too, because it does the new,
Yeah, it's the video. What is
well, it does HDR, but on top of the HDR,
they have
it
like a
does
Dolby something. I can't remember what the hell it is for
the
shooting.
Dolby Aura, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't remember. I saw a
Got
commercial
to get
for it.
into that, man.
Ooh, that looks nice. Yeah, and Verizon keeps sending me a thing going for $5 a month extra over what you're paying right now, and you can have the new iPhone.
Got to
I
do it,
think it's
man.
the little crappy one. So I got to
The
look
mini
into. Maybe it's the mini. It
or
might be
just
the
the
mini.
regular iPhone
I think
12.
it's just has two lenses. So I'm like, okay, that's
Yeah,
not the
you
one I
got to
want.
get
I want the
if you're going to
Pro.
do video with it, you got to get the Pro or the Pro Max.
Yeah, I don't want
Pro
the
Max
Max.
actually has it's way too big. Like my
Yeah,
hands.
I don't want that Pro Max thing. I'll take the Pro, but I don't want some. I don't want to carry around
Yeah,
a
so
tablet with me. Yeah.
that's that's just the regular Pro.
How long have you had that? Since the day it came out.
No, I actually waited.
Why?
Um,
Were you having fever? Was something wrong?
no, I waited
COVID screwed you
because
up. You're like, I'm not going out. I can't get on my computer.
well, COVID was a part of it because I didn't want to go into the store,
Yeah.
and because my brother works for T-Mobile, I was able to sort of just order it through him. But because I ordered it, he was like, "Oh, hit me up next week because the launch has been really heavy and
Yeah.
there's not a lot of inventory." And I wanted a specific, color and all that. So he was like, "Yeah, as soon as it comes out."
How is your service with T-Mobile?
Great. Yeah,
Really?
it's not good in like really rural areas. So
Yeah.
like if I'm driving from here to Virginia
Yeah.
and I'm right on the border between North Carolina and Virginia, or if I'm driving into Georgia and I'm in like off the interstate, it's not great.
Okay.
But almost everywhere in Charlotte right now, I get a 5G signal.
Oh, damn.
So even in my house, like
I've noticed there's
right now,
towers popping up everywhere.
yeah, I mean, I got 5G, and when I do a speed test, it's pulling like 80 megabits down, and like sometimes into the hundreds on, depending on where I'm at. And I think, even though it says 5G, I don't think I'm always connected to 5G, but yeah, I mean, the service is really good. It's gotten better. And they, when they merged with Sprint and bought all their assets,
Yeah.
they're going to flip the switch on all of those towers too. So then it'll be double the coverage.
Yeah,
So
that'd be cool.
I like their business model. I think they're just a little bit different. They're
The
not
only
like,
reason I haven't switched from them over to them is because I just wasn't sure about the service.
yeah, no,
With it.
it's good. It's great.
But now I'm stuck with the girls. I just got them new iPhones for Christmas with 2-year contract crap. So
Well, you could switch over and then
can switch.
have them switch over later.
Yeah, I might do that. Check it out. Who knows? We'll see.
Or just do your 2-year thing with them now, and then
And everybody switch at once.
yeah, you could do that too.
Although at that point, Alexa, I'm just sent her on her own. I'm like, you graduate from college, you pay for your own damn thing.
You know what? I thought that too until my daughter graduated during COVID.
I was gonna say, yeah,
college
you
during COVID.
don't work that way.
It doesn't, and neither does their car insurance and all those other things.
My dad paid my car insurance till like
magically float away.
Yeah, I think my dad paid my car insurance probably till I got married. I didn't ask him to. He just kept doing it. I'm like, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
If you're going to keep paying it, I'll just keep my mouth
Right.
shut.
Yeah.
How is that going with her being home? And is she able to find a job, or is that just kind of
So she graduated in May from the University of Richmond, and had plans on doing some stuff overseas. And because of COVID, everything got locked down, and so there was no travel, and so they shut the program down.
Yeah.
She was going to go teach over in France. And then she was going to wait. She got a great job at a coffee shop in Richmond where she's a barista and a cook and, a host and things like that. And that coffee shop's been really cool. They've got a couple of locations. They've been really cool to her. So she's staying there until she figures out she's going to apply for some master's programs. I think probably in the spring for fall of next year.
What's she want her master's in?
Well, she wants to do museum studies, I think, because of her background and what she studied in college.
Yeah.
But people study those things.
You become like a museum curator or something?
Yeah, you become a curator or a historian, in a specific. She's got a specialty that she did in school for like Ottoman Empire studies, and with her French background and her Arabic background and all the stuff that she studied in school with English too. Who knows what she'll do. I mean, she's a very smart human being and got a good head on her shoulders, and she's a cool chick, and I'm proud of her, so she's cool. Yeah. And then my son, he's just,
how's Noah?
He's good. He's going to Wilmington, UNC Wilmington, loving it there, working at Pet Supplies Plus. So he's got some interaction with people.
I just bought kangaroo meat dog food from there.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it before ever in my life. And I was told
supposed to be good for allergies, right?
Yeah. Because she's got
dogs with
terrible
allergies.
Skin issues. Yeah.
Yeah. Maisie.
Yeah. Maisie.
Yeah.
Like Jay-Z. But Maisie.
Yeah, he's talked about that kangaroo meat dog food with me. So yeah, he's doing great, man. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, good.
So yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on a year.
Yeah, thank you, dude. I appreciate it. It's been great. It's all your fault. So
you can blame me and thank me all in one.
Exactly.
One statement.
All at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, I'm so proud. I'm proud of you. It's been a great year, and I've really enjoyed seeing you put this all together. The other thing I'll say is there's a lot of people who start stuff like this, and then they fall off and they don't do it regularly. And I think people don't understand how hard it is to be disciplined enough to do it every single week and drop it and make sure that you're following up on the next thing and always trying to get better. And so I'm proud of you because, man, a lot of people fall off that wagon and aren't able to do that. And you've just like plowed right through this year. It's been awesome. It's been awesome to watch.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
Very cool.
That was the goal, was to make sure I did not become one of those people. I did not want to start it and then just have it fall off and people, oh, well, all right, you're a loser. What the hell happened? You couldn't even make it a year. So yeah. Now the goal is, try and make it 2 years and then we'll go from there.
Well, at some point you're going to have sponsored advertisers and you'll be making all kinds of money. Who knows?
All right. Well,
it'll happen. It'll happen, man. I think it'll happen.
You never know. Maybe we'll get lucky.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you.
Awesome.
Everybody watching, listening, like it, thumbs up it, comment, subscribe to it. And hopefully we'll keep doing it for another year.
Right on, man.
Thanks, dude.
See you, Mark.